10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
All right, what is up on a Thursday evening? I have Chip from Dual Analog.
What's up? How's it going?
All right, it's good. How are you doing?
Good, good. It's a beautiful day here in Seattle where I am currently. The sun is shining, the birds are chirping.
It was nicer earlier. We've had thunderstorms the past couple hours.
Cool.
I suppose. But now the skies are glowing orange. It's like, yeah, because it's sunset. Yeah, it's cool. I'm all the way up in Maine.
That's where Stephen King's from.
Yes, it is. All right, so tell anyone who might watch this who you are and what you do.
I'm Chip Roberts. I sing lead vocals, lead guitar, and co-songwriter in the Turbo Web band Dual Analog.
All right, and you guys just have a very unique sound. How'd you end up developing developing that?
Well, I came from a background of a lot of classic metal, what would be called like old school metal, or just like straight up 80s metal, hair metal type stuff. But I also loved new wave. I loved Duran Duran, The System, Japan, Human League, bands like that. And so I always had an affection and love for the more electronic driven stuff, as well as the hard rock and sort of heavy metal driven stuff. And so to me, it just made sense to kind of capture the best of both aspects of that and combine them. So that's just kind of how it panned out. And my co-songwriter Curtis comes from a background of doing film scores and a lot of also sound design type stuff. And keyboards are kind of his main instrument. He says that he's not a keyboard player; he's a guitar player who plays keyboards. But for him, he's sort of always been more in the electronic sphere of things. And so I take a look at things sort of as a traditional sort of song that you might hear on the radio. And he kind of looks at it as sort of a film score. And we combine those and try to create something that's unique and distinct and tells a story within, 4, 5, 6 minute time window.
All right. That makes sense. So what do you think is the biggest challenge you guys are facing right now?
Right now, it's been really hard to crack the algorithm in social media, is just sort of across the spectrum. Facebook is sort of not really on its way out, but it's just kind of, it's its own thing, and it's great for reaching people who you already know. Instagram is a little bit more above that. TikTok is apparently where it's at now, but it's just been a tough sort of window to crack because it's the short form videos and there's not really a rhyme or reason to what's going to get picked up and what's going to get hits. And even then, it's also difficult to sort of figure out what's going to retain people from there. And I just feel kind of like a pervert being on there. Like, I'm 30. Exactly. I shouldn't be on TikTok. This is for Gen Zs. This is for like kids. I feel gross. I feel like I'm waiting out. I'm sitting outside in my car outside of the high school while the high schoolers are getting out. It just feels weird to me. But I do not participate in TikTok as a participant. I participate in it as a creator. And even then it's at a very sort of limited scope. Right now is actually kind of a exciting time, at least for us, to try and crack TikTok, because there's not really an established fan base within that platform yet. So we can kind of try a few different things out without having to worry so much about if we're going to scare some people off, alienate any existing fans, because we're just sort of trying to find what trends and the types of videos we do work. So that's been a challenge for us for sure. And also trying to kind of get a little bit more local support for promoters
Mhm.
who want to put us on, because we take a lot of pride in having a really strong show and having really dynamic performance and really good musicianship.
Mhm.
But it's also a bit challenging for certain promoters to kind of take a chance on us, because we do have sort of one foot in the hard rock and metal sphere and the other in kind of the goth new wave sphere.
Right.
And it can be a little bit tricky to find bands to pair us with. So we've had to put together a lot of our own bills, which have been going really well.
Mhm.
And as we sort of get put on bills or put together our own bills, we tailor our sets to kind of complement whatever bands we're working with. So if something is a little more synth wave or kind of vaporwave type thing,
Mhm.
then we'll sort of adjust our set to be more pop centric. If it's going to be more of the industrial dark wave type stuff, then we'll go a little bit heavier on that. So it just depends. We have kind of an a la carte package depending on who we're playing with.
That makes sense. All right. If you could pick one of your songs to play for a potential new fan, which song would it be?
I think that the obvious answer for that would be 100 Disciples.
Okay.
It's just kind of a straight sort of like, verse, chorus, bridge solo type thing that sort of says everything that you would need to say about what our sound is. So that would be the gateway drug I would send to them. And then they can kind of dive a little bit deeper from there, depending on what their interests are. It sort of depends on what aspects of the music
Right.
they sort of resonate with more, because then I might move them towards this direction. If they're like, oh, I kind of like the sort of progressive metal tendencies, I'd be like, okay, well, you might like Portal of Jade because that's a little more progressive. If
Mhm.
they say I like sort of the industrial type stuff, but I also like the melody, I would say, okay, check out Pantheon. If they're like, I want sort of the gothier stuff, I'd be like, okay, cool, check out Neon Dreams or Our Song. So
Mhm.
there's kind of a color wheel with us where people can sort of pick and choose which aspects of it they like best and explore from there.
Okay. Um, so this is a little bit off the wall, but when you're out on tour or just going to do a show, what's your favorite snack?
Well, I'm I'm pretty strict with my diet and my
Okay.
fitness. So lately, what I've been doing is I've been doing well, it depends also. What I've been doing lately is I've been doing white fish and rice, or some kind of lean meat, chicken breast or pork or something like that with
Mhm.
rice. If it's something where I know I want to take my shirt off, then I'll probably do something with less fiber in it, because that means less bloating. So I'll do like a protein shake and a couple bananas or something like that. That's my go-to snack.
Okay.
Sarah, our live drummer, is also pretty health conscious. So she'll always get something that's pretty clean.
Mhm.
Last time for her was like a gyro plate and some hummus. Um, so that it just depends on where we're at. Last show we played, they were eating some kind of fried crap and mozzarellas and pizzas and stuff, and I'm there with my protein shake and my banana. I'm like, oh. So for me, that's what I do, because I want to keep it pretty healthy, and I also want to have good nutrient timing so that the carbs
Right.
kick in when we go on stage, and so my muscles don't melt. So it's all a delicate balance.
All right. And while we're talking about food, if you were a salad, what dressing would it have?
Well, I would probably. So I don't eat a lot of like salads with dressing on them, and my go-to would be to have like an Asian sesame dressing. But I don't really think that's me. I wouldn't
Right.
be an Asian sesame dressing. I would want to have a little bit of kick. So I think I might do kind of like a buffalo, kind of like a spicy buffalo blue cheese type thing. That's what
Oh,
kind of
there we
salad
go.
dressing I would be, I think.
Okay. You're the first person to ever give me that answer. That's a good one. All right. Tell me a story about a like when you're growing up, like a piece of music you heard that just you know you felt something and you decided you wanted to make music.
Oh wow, there's so many songs. Um, I could probably tell you a couple of memories I had where I was like, this is what I want to do. And yet there it's all lost on me now. Um, I guess for me, it didn't really start out so much as a love for music, but a love for movies. My
Mhm.
brother and I would watch a lot of movies, and a lot of 80s movies in particular. And in doing so, there's obviously 80s music and 80s movies. And so from there, we would sort of be introduced um, to bands that kind of, were interesting to us. So We watched a lot of Wayne's World growing up. That was a big
Mm,
one. Detroit Rock City was another big one. That was probably sort of the pivotal movie that made me decide that I kind of wanted to be, you know, in a band, because Kiss was so larger than life and so like the whole package that when you're 10 and it's like, oh cool, they're superheroes and they're rock
mm.
stars and they have explosions on stage. They're like, this is it. This is what I want to do. I want to be like Kiss. I want to have the girls and the explosions and, you know, the whole package. So I would say, yeah, just sort of being exposed to Kiss at a young age, and to a lesser extent Rob Zombie, and kind of seeing, you know, how that kind of plays out. I liked the theatrics of it, and the music as well was also sort of, that was that's what kept me. That's what made me stay. You know, I came for the theatrics and I stayed for the music. So that's what got me into it.
Okay. So how'd you come up with the name for your band, Dual Analog? Where'd that come from?
We were tossing around a couple of different names, and since we had shifted from our previous band, which was called Perfect Zero and was kind of more of a metalcore, progressive metal,
Mm,
melodic death metal type thing, we knew that we wanted to kind of take a departure from that sort of traditional four-piece band format and do pretty much all the writing and production and everything, just the two of us. So the dual was sort of implicit within just sort of our formation. We knew that we wanted to fill it out with backing band members for live, but we wanted to keep all of the sort of writing and
mm,
everything in-house, so we could kind of have control over that. So there's two of us, obviously, and Curtis had just gotten into analog synthesis with the Behringer DeepMind.
mm.
So dual analog kind of fit with that. I had also tossed around names like Soul Runner, SOLRUNNER, which sounds like a Super Nintendo game. But when I tossed out dual analog, Curtis just said, I like that. And we just sort of stuck with it. So there's two of us, and it's a little video game reference too.
Okay. Um, who would be your like dream collaboration that you'd love to do a song with?
Probably Prince, because he would just give us a good song and then we would just record it. We wouldn't really have to do any real work at that point. He would just deliver a hit to us.
Okay. All right. What's the I watched all your music videos, and I'm wondering, you know, what the process is like in making those.
It's very involved and very meticulous and a lot of work. It's basically starts with the song. Which song do we know that we want that video for? Because we're gonna put, like, you know, a lot of money into this, so it better be something that we like and we think is gonna be a hit.
Right.
So that's step one. Step two is just kind of saying, okay, well, what do we want this video to be about? What do we want the themes to be? Because we don't really do a ton of story type stuff in our videos.
Right.
We're moving towards a more story-driven format, sort of, for this next record that we're working on. But we're being very careful with that, because when you work with a story, it's way sort of easier. There's a smaller margin for error to be really cheesy. And it's important to not be cheesy when you're trying to do, you know, like a serious music video. So we're being pretty careful with that. But conceptualizing the music video in terms of sort of what type of sound is it? Is it a darker song? Is it a little bit more optimistic? That's part of it. For our first video, for 100 Disciples, the first video that we put out, the song is sort of about taking a step outside of yourself and sort of basically deciding that you don't want the life that you currently have, as good as it is, because you want to have affection from another person. So you sort of abandon all that. So the sort of overarching theme of lust, worship, and desire is kind of present in that. But we also kind of wanted to leave somewhere to go from there. Because if we had our first video just be super blown out, then the only way to go from there is down. You have to just keep building it big. So we wanted something that was kind of in the middle that we can build on. And really, we just had to be pretty safe with that video, because we had to, it was our first one. So we had to say, this is who we are, this is our sound, this is our style visually, and just have it be pretty simple and just kind of look good and look nice and clean. And we were successful in that. With our second video, Among the Living, that was a little bit more story driven, and I kind of had shots in my head that were, I wanted to be a little artsier. kind of have a little bit of a through line to it, but still be sort of focused on the band and the performance. That one didn't turn out quite the way that we wanted it, because there was a bit of we had some issues with the crew that helped us with that. I'm not going to really go into that.
Right.
And then our next video for Lust, Worship, and Desire was sort of more along the lines of that sort of simplistic approach. I just kind of wanted to keep it kind of simple and sexy, and just kind of have a visually sort of distinct video from the rest of them. And then our video after that, oh wait, I forgot about one, Into the Unknown. Into the Unknown, we wanted to do something that was a little bit more scaled back. So with that one, we had the idea for sort of the black light with the reflective UV makeup, and I knew I wanted to implement the shoji screen with some backlighting. So really, every video is just sort of what's going to be different in this one. What's sort of the gimmick, or what's the shtick that's going to set it apart from the rest of our videos. And then with Neon Dreams, we just wanted to have something that was more like a performance, kind of like a behind the scenes, to kind of give a good representation of what you kind of expect at one of our shows.
Right.
And I think that one turned out really well. Our next set of videos are currently being planned out. We don't have anything concrete in terms of dates. They're going to be more story driven, and probably they'll be different. It'll still be good. We'll always have cool videos with cool clothes and makeup. We just have to sort of remember to straddle that line between, cool and cheesy. So we're working on stuff that's a little bit more kind of a little bit edgier. So kind of delving into the S&M territory with one of these videos, and then something that's a little bit more romantic, cerebral with another video we're planning out. So there's work to do, and we'll get to it. It's just a question of financing and, just sitting down and actually writing something out.
And while we're talking about, what you're working on new music right now?
Yes, we are. Well, we have a few songs that are very pop driven that are kind of in the can and in the backlog, and they're ready to go pretty much whenever we finish them. We're also working on our next record pretty heavily. It's a little bit more progressive. It's quite a bit darker. And right now we have probably about 4 or 5 songs that are done being written and just need to sort of be tracked and mixed and sent out to the live band to put together. We've been playing a few of those songs live already. They're going over really well. The more progressive ones are going to take more time because they're a little bit weirder, but we'll work it out. So we'll have a couple of interesting sort of dark wave type songs on this next one, and then we'll also have ones that are a little bit more kind of straightforward, more turbo wave, traditional dual analog type songs. So a pretty good spread, and I'm curious to see how the rest of the album continues to develop from here. Curtis has taken the wheel on a lot of these songs, and I'm kind of piecing together bits and pieces of what he has. So I'm curious to see what he comes up with for basically the work that we're going to put in for this next one, because wherever one of us not under deliver per se, but wherever one of us needs to deliver something and isn't, the other one has to make up for. So if, for example, we have this many sort of proggier, darker songs written, okay, that means we need to have this many sort of more traditional, straight ahead, groovy songs, like more singles written. So there's always going to be a little bit of a balance there. So if I write something too weird, Curtis is going to step in and make it a little bit less weird, and vice versa. So we kind of produce each other and hold each other accountable, and also keep each other in check.
Okay, that makes sense. Let's see. All right. If you couldn't do what you do you have another creative outlet that you think you'd pursue?
I tried acting when I was a kid. I wasn't really interested in that. I like writing. I enjoy writing scripts and reviews. I used to review video games on YouTube. So that would probably be what I would go back to if I wasn't playing music, would be YouTube. My work was kind of during a transition between kind of the angry video game nerd, nostalgia critic type of review into the more long form video essay review. I was right in the middle of that transition, so there wasn't really a spot for me quite yet.
Yeah.
Had I gone come out a little bit earlier, I could have gone full stop in this direction. Had I waited a little bit later, I could have gone full stop in this direction. But it was challenging to crack. I had fun doing them, and I had a really small fan base, but never really made it as big as I would like to. But if I wasn't doing this, then I would probably go back to doing that, because there were
doing
aspects of that that were cool.
like vlog type reviews, you mean?
It was kind of more like it was kind of like old school JonTron type stuff. It was sort of the vein that I would go for. Peanut Butter Gamer, that crew, when they were sort of at their peak. That's sort of what I went for. It wasn't so much vlog, and it was more kind of like scripted content, jokes, little skits and stuff like that. I would sort of do, my big thing was I would do every May, I would do a bunch of videos about Metroid and call it Metroid Month. And so I got a lot of the Metroid fans that came in to my show from that. So that was kind of where, it's like how Christmas season is, the best time to be running a Christmas tree farm. Metroid Month was the best time to be a YouTuber on my channel. So, that was a lot of it. I try to keep it interesting and do theme month, but I'd also do, weird one-off games. Like I did Leisure Suit Larry once, and that one blew up. So stuff like that.
That's cool. So what motivates you to, keep going?
I would say I don't like to sit still for too long. I feel that the millennial guilt complex associated with having downtime to relax is probably what drives me the most. I feel like if I'm not doing something, it's because I forgot what I was supposed to do. So I better figure out what it was.
I understand that way.
I'm working through it. Part of my hesitation to see a therapist or a counselor is I worry about losing that edge, but that's for me to figure out. So that's where I'm at with it. And because it's just, I don't know what else I would be doing. It just feels right to me. Playing music and writing music and playing bands is just the only thing that sort of feels like natural. You have to work towards it, or at least I have to work towards it. But it just feels right to me. Nothing else really quite strikes or scratches that itch for me. It has to be, playing in bands.
All right. I totally kind of understand. All right. So when did the band start? I know it's been at least a few years.
So we started kind of unofficially in 2019. That's when we dissolved our last band and started writing as a group together. And we came out later that year with just one song. And then during the COVID year, it was actually great because we could just write and finish our record. And then when things opened back up, we were ready to go play live. So 2019 at a writing capacity and 21 at a live show capacity.
All right. And how do you foresee like the longevity of this music project? Do you think it's going to last for like a really long time? Or do you think it's going to eventually run its course?
I'd like it to last as long as we can until it doesn't feel right anymore or until it's not fun anymore.
Yeah, that's fair.
But with us, I think that we have kind of a lot of influences, and in long term, I could see us leaning more into some of our other influences a bit more. I would like to find a way to implement some New Jack Swing into our sound. I don't see that happening right now, but it doesn't mean it won't. It's just
I'm just trying to think how that could work, and that could get really interesting.
I mean, listen to like Rhythm Nation or like Paul Abdul's first record, and there's some cool beats in there and some cool production. And I listen to those records and I say, I think there's something here for us that we could tap into. Or like electro, like murder rock and like break in 2 Electric Boogaloo. I'd love to figure that out too, and how we can incorporate that into our sound. It's a ways off, but I'm not ruling it out. I would like to see how we can pull that off.
All right. What do you feel is the most overrated band of all time?
Oh man, how much time you got?
Not on a time limit.
I have a lot of problems. Period.
Fair.
I joke a lot. My girlfriend gives me a hard time about it too, because it's like, wow, for somebody who loves music, you sure hate music. The amount of songs that come on that I'm like, wow, I hate this song versus the ones that don't. I would say, I think that bands are kind of rated where they need to be. I have problems with certain bands and things that they will do. I'm tired of hearing "Shook Me All Night Long" every time I have to go out. I'm tired of hearing "Don't Stop Believin'." Do I think that Journey is overrated or that AC/DC are overrated? No, not really, because there are good songs that you don't ever hear. So for me, I don't know if I can really think of one that I think is the most overrated band of all time. And if it is, it's probably a band I've never heard of and never bothered listening to. So
see, if I ever have to answer that question, I say Slayer.
Guns N' Roses.
Oh
Slayer,
yeah,
Slayer too. Wow, that was a lot easier when you said Slayer. probably GNR for me, because GNR had 2 good albums, 3 if you count both sides of Use Your Illusion. And that was it.
Pretty much.
I have issues with GNR. That would probably be my answer. But I will give them credit in that they were unique and they had a unique sound for the time, and it's still a unique sound.
You know, he sounds like Elmo when he tries to sing now, but
yeah,
it's still a unique sound.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Is there anything we haven't really touched on that you'd like to touch on?
Subscribe to our web zone, dualanalogband.com.
Right.
I would like for us to get some more subscribers on our YouTube channel as well, because once you hit 1,000, something special happens. I think you can start monetizing then, which would be great.
Nice.
Yeah. Instagram and Facebook are the best ways to reach us right now. We're still working on cracking TikTok, and it'll get there. It's going to take a little bit of time. And also reach out to us if you would like to see us play in your town, because we'd like to get out of town more next year in 2024. And just sort of play festivals wherever we can domestically. Hopefully get some set up maybe in Germany or the UK, sort of further down the road. But yeah, don't ever hesitate to reach out on our social media just to say hi, ask questions, and subscribe to our mailing list, dualanalogband.com.
Yeah, definitely subscribe to YouTube. I just was their 300th subscriber on YouTube.
Nice, so thank you.
Got a little ways to go. Go follow them on YouTube and everywhere else. And is there anything you'd like to say to your fans?
Thank you so much for all your support. Hopefully I got some new fans and disciples tonight. Please continue to support us, and we're going to be playing some more shows for you at the end of the year very soon, and hopefully coming to a town near you if you're not local to Seattle.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much for joining me, Chip. It was fun.
Thank you. Yes, I had a good time.
All right. Make sure everyone tunes in tomorrow. I've got Mr. Agitator from V is for Villains, and that's going to be one hell of a good time. But until then, have a good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Drop the bass.